What's going on, family? Welcome to JeffJSays YouTube channel and the pickup game where we're talking all things NBA. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. I am Jeff Johnson, bringing you the latest on what's going on in the NBA from my perspective. We running solo today. I gotta get a few things off my mind that I wanted to talk to you about today because, NBA season is 24/7. What the fuck activity? I tell you straight up. And dealing with and watching a lot of these stories unfold, I'm fascinated by the way players react, teams react, and even the fans. We got a lot that happened and even stuff that broke today. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about it. First up, Russell Westbrook. He requests a bench role. It just recently dropped that he's going to the team and he said, you know what? I think in order to build a continuity, I will volunteer myself as tribute. I'm coming off the bench, probably in a 6-man role to help the squad do whatever it is they need to do, right? So I think this was a move that the writing was on the wall for a minute that someone was going to have to go to the bench because these guys are currently at this recording on a 6-game losing streak, I believe. Let's go to the NBA standings so that I can confirm. But they've lost. They've lost a whole lot of games in a row. Let's go to the Clippers. Yes, they've lost 6 games. 6 games in a row. 0-6 since Harden showed up. We're 3-1 before Harden appeared. So, you take with that, you got to understand like what is going on with the team, what's happening. I think a lot of us knew someone was going to have to go on the bench. And then the debate was, well, it ain't going to be Kawhi. It ain't going to be Paul George. Can't be Zubac because he's pretty much their only big. They're a pretty small team after him. And with Mason Plumlee out, they get even shorter as a team. So he can't sit. So it's got to be either one of Russ or Harden. And, the debate was raging. It's been all over. Who should sit? A lot of people had leaned on Harden. And I'm not going to front. I think, at least in the onset, it would have benefited the Clippers to sit Harden instead of sitting Westbrook. And here's why I will say this. We can go right to the numbers. Now, I look at the on-off numbers and the efficiency differential for the team with different lineups. We've had so far 123 possessions of these new look Clippers with Harden, Russ, Kawhi, PG, and Zubac, right? The Clippers' best lineup, which would be substituting Rocco, Robert Covington, for James Harden, their differential is 39 plus 39.3 in those 4 games. With Harden, there's an almost 60-point differential difference. Right now, that lineup is a negative 18. Almost 60 points worse inserting Harden than not starting him and having someone else. Literally anyone else has a positive point differential. Having Bones Highland in the lineup instead of Harden for 73 possessions, plus 20.5. And in a very small sample size, when they have Bones and Norman Powell running along PG, Kawhi, and Zubac, those are like the stable 3. I won't call it a big 3, but it's like their stable 3 in their starting lineup that isn't going to move. These guys are plus 13.8, which is, small sample size, but just goes to show shit was rocking before Harden got there. And I understand the politics of it all. You moved at least one small planet. Maybe you didn't move the heavens. Maybe you moved Midgard and another realm in order to get Harden. But you did enough that you have to justify starting him. You have MVP level players, all-stars, Hall of Famers on your teams now. So there's going to have to be some tough decisions. But they're like on their points per possession, it's It's staggering. Like if I do my quick math, yeah, it's almost 50 points. The amount of the points per possession that they are better with that they had been in those 4 games was almost 50 points, the same as their differential. Defense, they're like 10, 12 points better without Harden, but it's less worse than on the offensive end, where I didn't think this was where they were going to have the problems. They're everything from turnover rate to effective field goal percentage to points per possession. They are in the bottom of the league. Bottom of the bottom, 0 percentile, barely 10th percentile in barely under 10th percentile in turnover percentage. These guys are not effective. The best they're doing is they're offensive rebounding the ball decent. But other than that, their offense is broken. I thought it was going to be on the other end, but their offense is broken. So that shows me Harden introduced his system into the Clippers, and now there's a system error, a system-wide malfunction, and the computer be crashing. All right? I think he also had to work himself into shape, and he's been doing it with these past 6 games. I think it would have been better to, yes, Monday morning quarterback and whatever. I think it would have been better to ease him on and then figure out additional lineups. I see Ty Lue trying everything with these first 6 games, trying everything to see what sticks. And it isn't like they faced world beater teams. They didn't have one of the toughest schedules to start up. If I look at what they were doing once they acquired Harden, right? They faced the Knicks at MSG, which is a solid test. But if the Clippers were the Clippers, they should have won that game, and they got handled. Then the Wednesday, they lost to the Nets by 7. This is another team that they probably, just on talent alone, should have beat. The way the Knicks were playing, the Knicks have been playing tough all season, and the Nets as well. But I would have thought at least they would have split those games. Then they ran into the Mavericks, which I would have probably put in a loss if they had prime Michael Jordan. If the 96 Bulls were wearing Clippers jerseys, Luka would still annihilate them. He is Baba Yaga for the Clippers. He is their John Wick, okay? I don't know what dog they violated, what offense they caused what the Clippers caused Luka, right? I don't know what they did to this man, but anytime he sees them, he sees red. I bet the overs every time he plays the Clippers because it's up. It's up and on site anytime he sees the Clippers. So I would have probably chalked that one up anyway. But at worst, they should have probably been 2-1 at this point. Then they lose to the Grizzlies, the spiraling Grizzlies by 4. Unacceptable. That loss completely unacceptable. In-season tournament, they lose to the Nuggets, and it was a close game. They lost by 3. So they were competing in these games. They just weren't pulling them out. And now today they're gonna face the Rockets, who have been hot. I could see up until they get to the Spurs, I could see them losing another game. So I think from what we've seen with the eye test, you can see the parts of where Harden as a facilitator will help this team. I've seen him in the pick and roll with Zubac and trying to work that out, and it looks phenomenal when it works. But they do get into the my turn, your turn, whose turn's the next turn type situation where they were trying to fill each other out. Everyone's going to have to assume a role. Kind of like the big 3 in Miami when Braun and Bosh went there. People are going to have to assume, these players are going to have to assume a role in order for them to be effective. It's the only way. It's to me, it is the only way they're going to be able to succeed. And I think Russ going to the bench will help alleviate those growing pains. I also think it's a way for him not to be the convenient scapegoat for when shit is going south. Because Russ is an easy target for people just because whether they don't like his style of play, he's been inefficient at times, or he's taking bad shots in games. The first finger automatically goes to Russ on these teams over the last few years when stuff is going wrong. But numbers are saying otherwise for his effect on the team. If anything, Russ is decisive. He's decisive. He's going to attack the basket. Effectiveness be damned. He's going to attack the basket. He can get players involved. He can help at all levels of the court on the offensive and defensive glass. While his range is probably a bit limited and teams will live and die with him shooting 3-point shots, he can still put pressure on the basket and he can assume a role. And I think him coming off the bench is a prime way for him to assume a role and to help his team. So I'd love to see the Clippers get it together and add to the chaos that is the Western Conference. We'll see. But I do know him coming off the bench, and Russ requesting this bench role and accepting a bench role, if they still stink, I don't want to hear nothing about Russ, because now you have Harden once again. Harden has the team that he wants. He has the most bespoke path to an NBA career you could have. Whatever he's wanted, he's got. And wherever he's gone, he's got it tailor-made for him. So now you got to make it happen, bro. That's it. You got to make it happen. No more excuses. Make it happen. Work. Kawhi and Paul George should be the most congruent parts for any player of an all-star caliber to be able to work with and to have the best cohesion, because they can tailor their game. Their games are made for the team game. They're the ones that their games can be plug and played into any system. So if he is the system, his system needs to update, because it's looking like he needs that 0.1, the crash update, to address any bugs that are in the system. And he needs to be compatible with multiple devices, including PG, including Kawhi. And I don't know who's going to start for them. Maybe you start Norman Powell to get some size, and you got to keep Bones Highland and Russ on there to keep your bench strong. Maybe it is Norman Powell. Hopefully there's somebody that'll help stretch the defenses and provide gravity at the 3-point range so that they can open up the floor for everybody else to operate. We'll see. But I thought it was interesting. Whether Russ actually did request it or it was requested for him. I love the way they're providing a united front, where they're projecting a united front together to say, like, hey, he's stepping up and he's doing this for the team. So we'll see. That is the Clippers. Things are interesting in Inglewood. Things are getting interested in Inglewood. So we'll see what's going on with that. All right. This next topic, this was something, and I hate to bring Twitter conversations to YouTube, right? But I thought this was a fascinating conversation that was going on with this whole Kelly Oubre, his situation and all that stuff that's going on. So I'm going to give you the elevator pitch of where we're at with this story so far, and a turn that the story took that made me really look at some fans crazy. I looked at them like they was crazy, all right? Let's get to this. So Kelly Oubre, Saturday, the 76ers, I was about to call them Philly. The Philadelphia 76ers sent out a tweet on Saturday saying that Kelly Oubre, as a pedestrian, was struck by a motor vehicle, had a fractured rib, injuries to his hips and legs. What we thought was going to be months of recovery now seems like he could be ready to go by late November, early December, which is awesome. I'm glad that he's good and that he's healed enough and he wasn't injured enough that he could continue to play and be good just in terms of living life, right? So they tweet this out on Saturday and everybody's like, what the hell is going on? How he got hit in the Philadelphia metro area? It's crazy. It's feasible because people don't know how to drive. A lot of people in these major cities do not know how to drive and be wilding, especially late at night. So it is definitely feasible. We get this information on Saturday. Wednesday, the Philadelphia police, they release a statement and they say that they have no video or photographic evidence that depicts this collision. And shout out to USA Today and the Philly Inquirer for providing this additional information. Now, the Philadelphia Inquirer, they reported that two businessmen with the area where Kelly Oubre said he got hit went through hours of surveillance footage and didn't find anything. They didn't find anything, right? So, now everybody, the chatter on social is, what really happened to Kelly Oubre? Is he lying? Do we believe the police? Did he get jumped? Did he get hit? Did he get involved in some other incident and now he's covering it up? This was definitely circulating, right? This was circulating. Nobody knew what to think. Although the police weren't insinuating that he was lying, they were just saying, hey, we checked the footage where he said he got hit and we don't see anything that resembles what he said happened, right? Now, as we get info from TMZ and other places and other outlets, we piece together what happened. He got hit. He went home, told his wife that he got hit by a car. She calls 911. They go to the hospital. After they treat him and whatnot, he's on medications and stuff. They ask him, what's up? This is what's being rumored and reported, by the way. I'm just giving you the background. The reasons why it may have been inaccurate was he was hopped up on meds and he was delirious, didn't know. That's one theory. The other theory is he's new to Philly. He don't know Philly like that. So the streets that he may have thought it happened on, it may not have happened on. So those are two things that could contribute to the inaccuracies. So, of course, people are speculating whether or not he's telling the truth. TMZ released ring cam footage from an Amazon Ring camera from Kelly Oubre's apartment, releases this camera footage of him walking into his house, wincing in pain, opening the door and telling his wife, yo, I got hit by a car, bringing his BMX bike in, right? Ring camera footage. So I'm sitting here, I see this news break. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, TMZ did it again. They got that footage. But who could have gave them the footage? So I tweet out, as I'm known to do, share my thoughts. I tweet out, yo, if somebody in the apartment or associated with that apartment building leaked the footage, I hope Kelly Oubre and his family sues them for every red cent because that's a violation of privacy. And if Amazon somehow was involved in the leak, that is a privacy and technology Pandora box that has probably been cracked open for a while and is now fully open for everybody to look at, see what's inside, and then we're going to have some hard discussions. Keyword, if. I had, of course, trolls and a lot of people who don't understand reading comprehension that were convinced without any confirmation from Kelly Oubre and his team that Kelly Oubre was the one. Clearly, this is what I heard. Clearly, it was Kelly Oubre's camp who leaked the footage. How else would they get it? And I'm sitting here laughing, watching these responses. Because for one, I didn't implicate anyone. I just said, if it wasn't from him and he didn't, and they got it from other people, that's a major violation. But to assume that he would have never got it, to assume that they could have only got it from his team in this era where some of y'all won't even let an Amazon Echo into your home or have Siri on because you don't want the government listening to you. You could believe that all of these devices are listening to us in our every move to pump ads to us and to possibly get personal identifiable information, but someone leaking a Ring camera footage is a bridge too far. Is a bridge too far from TMZ, the same TMZ that made the internet crash leaking Michael Jackson's death, Prince's death. They get security footage all the time. They get security footage from different places, from elevators, from hotels. These are different. They get this information from everyone, but yet getting ring camera footage from someone other than Kelly Oubre's camp just because it was at his house is unfathomable to people. As if hackers don't exist. As if sharing it with the wrong person who may want to come up and get a buck off of what's going on with you doesn't exist. Could his team have leaked it? Sure. But you have to expand the realm of possibilities when you're dealing with a media brand who will get it how they're living it, which means they are going to pay the price because everybody got a price. They are going to pay the price to make sure they can get that exclusive. Now, when this conversation was going on, shout out to Alex Holly and Fox 29 Philadelphia. They interviewed one of the producers of TMZ to ask them about the Kelly Oubre incident. I want to pull that up for you. Let me pull that up for you. And this is what he had to say.
You know, this is obviously something that they wanted to show because, you know, I think there's some pressure mounting here, and you've got a lot of people now beginning to ask questions like, hey, did something different happen here than what the original story was? So,
you said what they wanted to show. You mean Kelly's camp? Because a lot of people were wondering, gosh, TMZ, you got a personal ring camera video?
I would never say where we got something from, but that's something that we would not have published.
Well, come on.
I'll say that.
You would not have published without what?
Without permission.
Right. Okay.
I'll say that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Without giving it away. But,
So that is that is the ring cam footage. That's the ring cam footage that what they showed at the end. Now, here's what's funny about what Homeboy said. He said, and I quote, let me pull up the quote. I would never say where we got something from, but that's not something we would have published without permission. I'll say that much. So, you know, if you listen to that quote, it's clear he's dry snitching on Kelly Oubre's camp, basically. That's how he's presenting it. We wouldn't have posted it without permission. That's all I'll say, but I'm not going to reveal my sources. So if you wouldn't have posted out with permission, logically we would think you got permission from somebody who owned the footage, which would be Kelly Oubre, because it's at his house. So 2 + 2 does not equal avocado. It equals 4, right? This is how we would interpret it. But then, once again, I raise my hand and I say, who gave you the permission? He indirectly named Kelly Oubre in his camp. Is an indirect confirmation that he got it from someone who he was authorized to get it from. But authorization is a funny thing because authorization is in the hands of the people who own the footage, right? Now that I'm sure them security photos and the videos that they posted, the medical information that they posted, the crime scene pictures and stuff that they've posted before, I'm sure that's not authorized. Because if it was authorized, they wouldn't release it through TMZ. They would release it through proper channels. At least them, whoever the original source that owns the footage, would have been the ones to present it to whatever publications. They would have did. That to me is authorized consent. Right? That to me is what authorized consent is. So I ask once again, who was the one that authorized it? Because, and shout out to The Intercept. Shout out to The Intercept. I was looking up because I wanted to make sure I was right about this. When I mentioned Amazon, that is because there are situations where Amazon can give ring camera footage to police without a warrant or consent. Right? Let me pull up this quote. All right. Although Ring publicizes its policy of handing over camera footage only if the owner agrees or if the judge signs a search warrant, the company says it also reserves the right to supply police with footage in emergencies, quote unquote, defined broadly as cases involving imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to any person. So they were asked what constitutes an emergency situation, how many times the surveillance data has been provided, and Amazon declined to elaborate beyond imminent danger of death or serious physical injury. So in other words, there are situations where Amazon will submit that Ring camera footage to police or authorities without a warrant or without you knowing. And we could think about extreme situations, but then what I think of, because, you know, I actually went to school in a technology degree. This is like one of the one times a quarter, I can actually use my degree in something that I'm doing professionally, right? people have access to your stuff, you are trusting, and the company is trusting, that people will follow proper protocol and not take advantage or violate privacy. That doesn't mean somebody couldn't have duplicated the footage and sent it off to TMZ on their own because they have access, because they work at Amazon. And if they're good enough, they can cover whatever logging happens on the system to see who's going in, who's logged in, and who's used their access in a certain way. If you're good enough, you can cover it, or you can use your phone, record it, and then send it off. We've seen this happen multiple times. I've heard stories about people giving up footage to TMZ. I believe the person who gave up the Jay-Z Solange elevator photo video allegedly got like high five figures, and got fired once it was discovered who was the leak. This isn't new. And I think it is insane for people to automatically assume that footage given to TMZ would automatically come from Kelly Oubre's camp, and not even open the realm of possibility that a leak, because a leak is different from something that you submit with your consent. A leak implies that someone did not consent to this information being released. It's implied in the word leak, right? And then I think I ask one simple question. If Kelly Oubre's camp leaked it, why didn't they put their name on it? What was the harm in putting your name on a leak that could clarify, on a video that could clarify that you actually did get injured, that you weren't lying about getting hit, and could provide more context? Why wouldn't you put your name on it? Folks, these are guys that have access to PR teams, world-class lawyers, all the resources in the world to make sure you're presented in the best possible light. So it doesn't compute for me. Could it have been him? Sure. It could have definitely been their camp. I don't understand why they would go to TMZ Sports instead of like the Times or even ESPN or Woj or Shams or someone like that is known in the sports community as the people who break the news and who have the information, because it would have been just as credible. Once you go to TMZ route, you open up a lot of questions. A lot of questions about authenticity, about integrity, about blame or fault. Who's doing what? You introduce a lot of questions into it when you do it that way. So I don't know. I all in all, at the end of the day, I hope that he heals. I hope that he heals well. I hope he can get whatever justice he needs to get, because I know people who got hit by cars. I've heard a lot of stories. I'm knocking on wood that I'm never one of them people. And look, if you know somebody who's ever been involved in any type of car accident or where they were a pedestrian, they will tell you it's a shocking deal. It's traumatizing. It hurts like shit. And I'm hoping that he's better. But I just think discourse is in the dirt when we can't consider possibilities. And this isn't like conspiracy theorist stuff where I'm sitting in a basement and I'm trying to concoct ways in which the government tried to oppress Kelly Oubre. Like, it ain't that. But when you're dealing with privacy issues and brands that benefit off of violations of privacy in order for their brand to gain viewers, advertising money, recognition, and this is the way they feed their family, I think it is well within bounds to question where video footage comes from. So I hope it all gets sorted out and all parties are good. But I just thought it was insane that people would actually question folks questioning where footage came from. It's just whatever. Living in 2023 Earth, this Earth, it's just wild to me. But yeah, talking about money and feeding your family though. My guy Draymond Green suspended 5 games for putting Rudy Gobert in the Cobra clutch during that altercation with T-Wolves Dubs. And it's funny, I've been having conversations in my group chats and all this about Draymond and this whole situation. Is he smart? Is he gonna missing over $750,000 over 5 games? Will that actually hurt his pocket? We got into the whole economic financial prudent, wise, the wisdom behind it and all of that. I'll say this. Regardless of what you think about Draymond, Draymond is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of players that you would love to have as your teammate and hate to play against. Him and Patrick Beverley are definitely in that on that list, on that short list of those players. Draymond Green was, first of all, I definitely think he was waiting for a moment with Rudy. If you've listened to his past comments about Rudy Gobert, I don't think there's too much of a personal respect factor there. I could be wrong, but based on what I've been shown, I don't know if that's the case. It looked like Draymond's always ready for some action. And when you look at the scuffle, yeah, he definitely OD'd, but he said he was going to be damned either way, so he's going to be damned with a chokehold on Rudy Gobert, because if you look at it from certain angles, from where Draymond is looking, once you see Rudy's arm come across Klay's chest, it could be interpreted as he's trying to or attempting to choke him. So Draymond went into mode because he is the enforcer of the team. And that's somebody, like, as a teammate, you want rocking with you no matter what. You know, like if you at a party and dudes try to flex on you, try to step to you, and y'all about to brawl, he ain't gonna be the dude that is trying to be peacemaker or is gonna fade away and let you get your ass whooped and then come back and say, yo, are you all right? He gonna be in the trenches with you. He probably would be the dude that you take to the parties and you know had a short temper and will probably mess up the party for you if they get into an altercation, and you gotta stand with him in the moment and then scream at him later on because they ruined your night. That's kind of like their Draymond's archetype. But I know as a teammate, Warriors, they definitely cherish him, and you'd rather him do this now than in the playoffs, and establish it. And of course, that 5 games was a reputation 5 games. Might have gotten less if it wasn't him. Maybe not at all if it wasn't him, but he knows what it is. He knows what he's doing. That whole situation was something that got carried out of control. It's like one thing. It's like, and it's funny because Klay's whole jersey was ripped, but it literally was like pulling on a loose string on your shirt and watching your whole shirt unravel just because you just wanted to get a loose string off. That's how quick everything set up. But I ain't gonna front. I don't know about y'all. I don't care how much money I'm making in this world. $750,000 you lose. Yeah, I'm gonna feel that. I'm gonna feel that. You got folks, and shout out to Dame Lillard, who was talking about winning the in-season tournament because $500,000 could change some people's lives that are on two-way deals and who ain't making the multi-millions of dollars that he's making or other upper echelon stars. So shout out to Dame Dollar for that, because that's what matters. Those are some stakes that some players are thinking of when they're taking this in-season tournament seriously. But I know there's a lot of players. LeBron, listen. LeBron, the man that when he was talking about the in-season tournament, $500K, he need that. LeBron damn near a billionaire. He getting close. He need that $500K. This is the man that be playing Pandora commercials when he's on the aux. LeBron James ain't trying to pay for subscriptions. He swear he me. He probably got one too many subscriptions. It's like, yo, y'all just gonna have to deal with these commercials, right? This dude. There's dudes who do care about it. And I think, yeah, you can make the comparison at losing 750 plus K, 768. I think he's losing. Losing that is like us losing $100. That $100 will still hurt me. Depending on whatever you're making, that $100 still hurt me. I need all of that. I'm sorry. 5 games, that money, I better hope my teammates cherish what I did, because it cost me almost $1 million to protect, or to give the aura of protection. I just wonder, what some of y'all people who think that money don't affect, what y'all be blowing your money on? Do the parlays be hitting? Do the parlays be missing that much where you got unlimited money to keep throwing at these parlays and money ain't a thing? Y'all been watching a lot of Jay-Z videos or money videos. You see the money falling from the sky like rain, and y'all think $760K is small change to these dudes? Relatively, yes. But in the grand scheme of their financial situation, maybe it doesn't make a dent. But for them mentally, especially for folks who came out of lower income situations, blue collar situations, and now this has been a shot to an upper echelon of wealth that they've never experienced in their life, yeah, you still may have a little bit of that scarcity in you to feel the hit. You may be in a little bit of a scarcity mentality. Call it what you want. That's still a lot of money. So shout out to Draymond Green. Shout out to his teammates, because they gonna have to do something nice for him. Even if they over his shit, they gonna have to do something nice for him, because he's the dude who will be the vanguard of the Golden State Warriors against any type of enforcement or physicality that comes their way. And he's literally paying for it. So y'all gotta definitely salute that man. And yeah, y'all gonna have to hold him down for real. All right, before we get out of here, let's talk about what I want to talk about. I thought I had this up. Let me pull this up. Let me see if this is it. Oh, I know where it is. We're going to talk about some of the games. Yeah, here we go. We're going to talk about some of the games that happened over the past couple of days. I wanted to tap into a couple of the games Wednesday. Knicks beating the Hawks. Celtics over the Sixers. Celtics, no KP, no Jaylen Brown. Sixers didn't really play a bad game. Their starters just got outscored. And then these dudes, Derek White, you talking about a dude who stepped up and stepped in when his team needed it. 27 points on 12 shots, 14 of them points coming in the fourth quarter. Drew Holiday, calm, 18-point, 10-board double-double. Al Horford, the ageless Al Horford, 14, 10, and 5 blocks in a start. Tatum, who is probably one of the leading candidates for MVP. He's dropping 29 points, averaging 28, 8, and 4. Yeah, Philly for their effort, you got to tip their cap. Second game of a back-to-back, 3 games in 4 nights. You got to take advantage when the Celtics don't have their whole squad, because when they have their whole squad, they're nigh unbeatable. At least how it's looking in the early going of this season. But yeah, these dudes, I've seen Tatum took an 8-point lead and almost tripled that on the Knicks in the fourth quarter, making the hardest shots I've seen him make. Step back and one threes, fadeaway threes, either wing, whatever you want, he got it for you. This dude may be in the running for a clutch player, because he's been coming up big in the fourth. I looked at the clutch stats and I think they will even out. But just from a narrative point of view and just watching these games, he is a closer. If they have a certain lead on you and he's hot, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I ain't gonna lie, man. The Celtics are gonna be right there in the end. They're looking like the favorites to represent the East and possibly even win it all. Denver's still looking like a juggernaut, but that's how good the Celtics are. To do this to one of the top teams in the conference without 2 of your starters, and they're like top 5 in like best differential categories, offensive, defensive, whatever you want. Yeah, man, they're gonna be tough. They're gonna be tough. It sickens me to say it as for freaking Celtics, but yo, I gotta keep it real. They're gonna be tough. And then we look at the New York Knicks. Shout out to Gus Johnson back on the call for one night on MSG. When I heard Gus Johnson was doing this game, I said this game is going to double overtime. Something's going to happen at the end, because Gus Johnson games are like if Michael Bay and Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan all got together and said how are we going to stress out our audience the most and create the most thrilling thriller ever. And this dude is it, man. He plugged himself in well, got himself reacclimated to what the Knicks and what they were doing, and it's refreshing to hear him. He's one of the dopest broadcasters out, so it was cool. Knicks get the win, 116-114, and I am going to continue beating this drum for Mitchell Robinson. This dude, as of Wednesday, his offensive rebound percentage, 20.8, was greater than 4 NBA teams and within 2 percentage points of 2 others, which means there's currently NBA teams that he's doing better at offensive rebounding than. Complete teams. He has been a force of nature. He's nullifying, other than KP has been the only one that's been able to figure him out so far this season. Clint Capella averages 12 points and roughly 11 boards versus Mitch, 8 points, 3 boards, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 1 non-factor. This is the most irrelevant I've seen Clint Capella be in a game versus the Knicks probably ever. To the point where I had to look up and say, is he playing? That's how much Mitch has erased bigs from the competition this season just by being a force of rebound in nature. Like, he's literally levitating into Rodman territory of rebounding. He doesn't foul as much as he did in prior years. He's staying on his feet. He's getting more steals, and he's near automatic from the field goal with field goal percentage from the rim. He takes the shots that he needs. I've seen him calling for the ball in the post in one game. Like, this dude, he's putting it together. He's one of the best big men in the league this season. He's playing at an all NBA level, and folks need to start paying homage and taking note of it. Don't just take notes of the names. Take notes of the players who are actually playing the games, and their games are doing the talking. Take note of that. And I got to do it because he's not getting, 1, because it's keeping it real. 2, because this is the way these players get the promotion, is by us talking about it and bringing a spotlight to it. I think it's safe to say Randall is kind of shaking off that historic early season funk. 5 straight 20-point games. He's hit 50% or greater in field goal percentage in 2 of the last 3. He's making quicker decisions. His vision is nuts. There was a play where he made a lead pass to Jalen Brunson for a 3 where he led him like a QB. It's as if he knew, Jalen, you need to be there. I'm throwing the ball. And Jalen ran the route in order to catch the ball, catch and shoot from the 3-point corner. Like, this dude, and speaking of Brunson, I don't think he's not in his prime form yet. He's still working out the kinks. He hasn't been as efficient, ain't hitting layups, which is crazy. Like, when they start rimming out, you know he's just in a funk that he needs to get out of. I literally said he didn't. It looked like he don't have it tonight until the 4th, where he came alive. 2 of 3 from 3-point, 6 of 10 from 3 overall, 60% true shooting. Like, this dude was it. And he is one of the Knicks' biggest closers. Shout out to Emmanuel Quickley, who went on his own personal 5-0 run to help them come back. They were down 7. Went on an 8-0 run, went back and forth. Shout out to Knicks Film School with this one nugget about this game. After they called the timeout going down 7 with 5:20 to go, the Knicks scored on every single possession until that 5-second violation at the end. They scored every single possession. And the other thing I noticed, Bogdanovich might need to start for the Hawks because I don't know what DeAndre Hunter's doing offensively, but that 28 off the bench might need to come into the starting lineup. They're not really D'ing up like that, so they may have to go the Pacers route and just try to run you off the court and outscore you. Second thing, Trae Young, I haven't watched enough Hawks games other than the ones they played against the Knicks and then a couple of others like in spurts. But when Trae faces a team where you can't hide him on one defender, whether they don't shoot too much, they can't create off the dribble. When he's unhideable, that is a major advantage for the other team. They literally ran him in action almost every time down the court from 5 minutes on. That was part of the reason IQ was able to cook and get on that 5-0 run. Literally, if they force a switch for Brunson to put Trae on Brunson, DeAndre Hunter got to run like he see the bat signal and has to go save Trae. So that was something that we haven't seen in the past since the Hawks run in 21. 5-14 against the Knicks in the regular season. Yeah, I think it's time to retire the King of New York. It was cool because of the first round playoff series, but monarchies aren't infinite. And I think the King Trae dynasty has been over in New York. There ain't no King of New York. So let's end that. Knicks 6-5 going into in-season tournament play today. Knicks and Wizards. These unserious Wizards, they got to take care of business because the Wizards are just vibes and nothing else. And some of the clips that you see on social of what's happening in their games, yeah, you got to put this unserious team away. Shout out to the Heat last night, putting away the Nets. They got to win. They're 8-4 right now. if I am not mistaken, we pull it up, they've won 7 in a row. And this is kind of new. Over the last few years, the Heat haven't really prioritized a regular season, but they've gotten into the groove. You got Jimmy buckets going off. I'm telling you, like, they're going to be a team to reckon with, and we knew that because they're the Heat, and if anything, they're going to be a solid squad. But it looks like they're having the early season success can definitely help them down the line. You got Jimmy Butler dropping 18 points in the fourth. This dude Bam Adebayo putting poor Nick Claxton on a poster. Like, they've hit their stride, and of course they felt like Jaime Jaquez, Duncan Robinson stepping up. I think Hero's been out. Like, come on, man. You got the East. The rumors of the East demise were greatly mistaken, and it is a competitive division. This is the conference where you can't go on a long losing streak. You might be out of here or locked into the play-in for like 2 months. So there's a lot of interesting things going on in the league, and we're gonna be talking about it. We're gonna be talking about it all. So yeah, that's it. That's why I wanted to talk about some of the crazy stuff going on in the NBA, some of the games today, in-season tournament today. Y'all enjoy it, man. And this has been JeffJSays YouTube channel. This has been the Pickup Game. I need y'all to do what you always do. You already know the vibes. You gotta like, you gotta comment, you gotta subscribe, you gotta tell a friend to tell a friend, all right? This is a place where we're gonna talk about NBA, sport, culture, everything in between. So I appreciate you supporting me. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. We could have a good conversation, you know? And I'm glad that y'all got what y'all needed to get from me, because y'all support powers me every day. So thank you so much for joining me on the Pickup Game, JeffJSays YouTube channel. And as always, remember, pour into yourself. Watch the success overflow. Your dreams are just chapters in a book you haven't published yet. So don't be afraid to hit send, all right? Until next time, I'll talk to you later. 1.